Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo.
On this episode of the History of the Chorus podcast with Curtis and Josh, we take a look at the band from, that's right, Canada, known as Silverstein. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at IsSurvivedByPro for news and the latest episode postings. And make sure to subscribe to the show, leave us a 5-star review, and write us a comment on YouTube or whatever podcast service you're using. Make sure to check us out on TikTok and give us a follow at IsSurvivedByProductions. And if you'd like to see us do some live streams, leave us a comment or tweet us the keyword stream. Now, without further ado, let's start the show.
The devil is in Atlanta. Army surrounded.
Welcome back to the History of the Chorus podcast, where each and every episode we take a look at the history of a band from the chorus genre. I'm Curtis, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Josh. I do apologize because I did kind of have a weird little pause there, but yeah, it's
I was
Josh.
like, oh shit, it's me now.
Oh god, no, it's me. Nope, it's just Josh. What up? What up?
What up? Nothing. I just want to let you know that we were right. It is the National Aeronautics and Space Administration.
Okay, NASA. Yes. People have no clue what we're talking about. They
really
just jumped in
ourselves.
like we're in mid-sentence there. We did. But it was one of those where it's like, I see your hat, and I was just about to start. I was like, wait, NASA's an acronym. Oh, what does it stand for? I don't know what it stands for. What does it stand for? Yeah, I don't know if I've ever, well, surely at some point in my life I knew that, but yeah, it was a good guess, and I was right. We were right, sir. We were right. All right, man. This is our 9th episode of the Canadian Invasion series, Josh.
Canadian invasion.
Exactly. So we're continuing our look at the band known as Silverstein. But before we start to do that, at this time, I'm going to ask all of our audience to please rise, remove your caps for a personal rendition of the Canadian national anthem performed by Is Survived by Production Zone. Josh, take it away.
Was I supposed to come up with my own version of O Canada?
Yep.
Oh Canada,
it's beautiful.
Home of Silverstein. Yeah, I'm not doing any more of that.
I brought a tear to my eye. Okay, yeah. Anyway, we're talking about Silverstein from Canada.
Did you have a lyric today?
Shoot, I did not. I meant to. Oh, there was one I thought I had in mind.
I'll give you one.
Do you have one? Yeah, go ahead. I was about to say, go ahead if you got one.
There you were, 6 years old, with ashes in your hair.
Well, yeah, you were there. So why are you telling me? I'm asking for a lyric, not something that happened to me when I was younger.
That is a lyric.
Yep. It's going to be from this very first album we're going to talk about. Thank you, Josh, for those lyrics. Brought to you by geniuslyrics.com. I don't know. We're winging it. We're just winging it here. Okay, anyway, here we go. So when we left off, the lineup consisted of Shane Toll on vocals, Neil Beauchart on guitar, Josh Bradford on guitar, Billy Hamilton on bass, and Paul Kohler on drums. So far, we've only had one lineup change, and we're going to get our final lineup change in this episode here. So brace for impact. Yeah, we're just not used to that. We're so used to like every album, there's like 2 or 3 new guys. So this is uncharted waters for us at Is Survived by Productions. But yeah, after extensive touring across the world in support of their latest album, which was 2007's Arrivals and Departures. The band would take a short break to begin writing music for their newest album. Um, Before we talk about the new album, should I ask you? Let's go back to the last episode. Speaking of that newest album, Arrivals and Departures. Remember, Shane had the quote that said they felt like it was their worst album to date, which was 2018, I think, when that interview happened. So we got 4 albums here in this episode. Do you want to tell me now, or do you want to tell me after we get through all 4 of these, whether you agree with what he was saying about Arrivals and Departures, or if you disagree? Do you want to say it now, or you want to wait till the very end?
I'll tell you now, Arrivals and Departures is better than This Is How the Wind Shifts.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So what makes it better than, you know what? We'll hold off. We'll talk about it when we get to that album. How about that?
Are you sure?
Yeah. Just keep it.
Play,
Just keep it.
play my sound clip.
Is it ready? Are you ready for it now, man? Are you ready for it now? Because I'm not ready for it. I
I'm ready
clicked on
for
the
it.
wrong thing. Wait a
I was
minute.
ready
Hold
for it.
on. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I'm not crying. You're crying.
Because the entire back end of This Is How the Wind Shifts, we really start getting into sad boy territory.
What song does it start on?
I'd have to kind of sort through there for a minute
Okay.
because I only listened to this one once through. It wasn't ever like I didn't find myself being like just completely like cutting it off, like I did with Alexis on Fire. Like I
Yeah.
got through like half that album and was like, oh, I'm done. I'm done here. But I listened to the whole album and I don't know, I guess maybe around Hide Your Secrets.
Okay.
So
Dang, that's over half the album, man.
I mean,
I mean, I'm just saying. That's your opinion. I guess you're entitled to it. I guess this is a free country.
is this your favorite one in this block?
No. I wouldn't
Okay.
say it's my favorite.
I guess like In Silent Seas We Drown comes back a little bit.
Yeah, I would say there's to me on that album, I love the first 3 songs. They hit really hard, but once you get to This Is How, and yeah, I think through This Is How, A Better Place, and Hide Your Secrets, it takes a dip. That's an album to me that is kind of a roller coaster. You go high and then it goes low, and then you kind of come back up, and then you go down again, and you kind of come back up to finish it, in my opinion. Because it's one of those that I didn't find myself like the second time through, just like letting it play all the way through. Like I got through those first 3 songs and I'm like, okay, skip a couple here because I don't really feel like listening to these ones again.
Yeah, it is so up and down.
Okay. We can talk about it some more when we get to it. But let's talk about 2009's A Shipwreck in the Sand from Victory Records. So the band went back to Cameron Webb for to be their producer on this album. He did Discovering the Waterfront. Now in Shane Toll and the band's comment on the album, this is a concept album. So they say that the tale of a vessel. This album is about the tale of a vessel which sets sail to find resources and begin a new world. But when new land is to be found, the crew revolts and turns against their captain. But there's not just that story. Apparently, along with that, there's other individual songs that have different meanings and stories to them also. So I'm kind of like, okay, is it a concept album though? If there's like a bunch of different stories going on, because then in my mind at that point, it's like you just have a regular album.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
unless you're able to like really like like intertwine everything, but I didn't feel like that. Even like the very first time that I listened to this album was when it came out. I never really felt like everything like crossed over, you know what I mean? To tie
Yeah.
everything into one big bow. So yeah, after like reading that and like just kind of like, okay, but isn't that just basically a regular album then? Because I mean that's what a regular album is a bunch of different songs with different different meanings and stories to them. And sometimes you may have one or two songs that are, along the same line, but then a bunch of different individual ones. So I don't know. Uh when talking
Did
about the go ahead.
did you notice at all in this album? Did you feel at all a little bit of an Atreyu vibe, like especially from like the album A Death Grip on Yesterday?
I'm gonna at this point I'm gonna say no. Well, I'm gonna say the jury's out because I haven't listened to Atreyu in forever.
Okay.
I can go back and listen to that though. Um, I mean, maybe, but
It's
yeah, I'm
it's
gonna say
his
the jury's out.
it's
Is it his book?
his unclean vocal style, and it's musically the direction that they're like kind of shifting here a little bit.
Okay,
But I was gonna say that when I started listening to this album and the one after is Rescue, right?
yeah,
When I was listening to those two, I was like, okay, this is definitely taken what sounds like kind of a darker tone. Um, so my first thought was like, okay, maybe this is where they like start to drop their tuning or something. But now I looked into that and it's mostly standard tuning through pretty much all these albums. So I was like, what is it? And I think ultimately it's just that we're using lower and darker chords and tones.
okay,
A lot of the up until this point, we're playing a lot in the middle, of the neck when now we're starting to get really down on those last couple frets.
okay.
So I don't
Getting
know.
technical with it, I like that.
I think that's kind of what because I could never find another reason for why, so I'm like, well, it's got to be just as simple as that then.
Yeah,
But
I don't know. When commenting on the concept and meanings behind the album and each song, Shane Toll stated the concept for the record, "The Shipwreck in the Sand," is complicated. You think? And there's a lot of stuff going on, really. And I like to think of, I like that about it, that is not obvious and that a lot of people can take something out of it that's their own. Isn't that just like any album though?
yeah, it is a
What is
pretty
going on here?
bland. Yeah,
Yeah, what is happening?
he didn't listen to it.
Yeah, apparently not. The reason I wanted to do a concept record was because of the way the world is right now, with the economy being messed up, people losing jobs and families losing their life savings and not knowing what they're going to do in the future. 10 years ago, everything was going so well, people were not as concerned, and now it's a really scary time. There's a lot of underlying political issues within the record about what governments all over the world are spending money on, what their focus is on. There's also a lot of social issues I wanted to talk about as well. People that watch reality TV and think cribs is the way their house needs to look, or they need to look like people from a cosmopolitan magazine. There's just so many problems that face society right now, and I really wanted to tackle them all. Each song just dives into a different issue. The issue of healthcare right now in America and how it's so divided when it should be so obvious. Let me ask you a question real quick, because when I was reading that, especially that last line, for the first time when I was doing these notes, it made me think of bands like Alexis on Fire and even like Silverstein at times. Some of these like Canadian bands, it's like I don't understand. I don't know. It's just weird to me that like they all got to take on America. It's like, why don't you worry about yourself?
Well, I'm just like I don't know. I guess my thought on it is like, why do they care?
That's what I'm like. It's like, don't you
Like,
have
I
your own
mean,
problems in your own country though? But
yeah,
like,
I don't know. I guess I get it because it's it's trying to fight for somebody else. But that was something I was going to say is I don't like when a band has like one track on an album that's a We the People song in whatever
Right.
capacity, you know? And I want you to either be all in on that, like you're a very politically driven punk band or something like that, or a hardcore band, but I don't want to hear that on an arguably like emo core album.
Right. Yeah,
Like
it's a little weird.
I'm good on that. I didn't come here for that. When
The
I want
government
that,
makes me want to slip my wrist.
yeah, when I want that, I'm gonna go to the guys who do it the best, and that's all they do, you know.
Is there a song in here specifically on I cannot talk on today,
I
man. Good Lord.
I
Is
don't
there a
remember if
song
there was.
specifically on this album
I don't
that you're talking in that?
remember what it was on this one. There were a couple different ones. Like I felt like one on each of the albums.
Okay.
I saved one of them that I know I wanted to mention. Um, it's on the next album, so I guess I'll talk about it when we get there.
Okay.
But I don't know. I actually really like this one a lot more than I thought I would.
It's a good album, and I remember when it came out, coming off of Arrivals and Departures being a disappointment for me, I was super excited for this new album. And then when I got to listen to it all the way through, I was really on top of this album. I was like, yes, they're back. This is a great album. So yeah, I really liked it. I mean, again, going back to the whole concept stuff and how it just seems like they're not really sure what's going on. I don't know. I can just ignore all of that and just be like, hey, it's a good album still. It's still a good album to me.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I'll tell you, Curtis,
Go
it
ahead. Let me hear
goes
it. Tell
it
me.
goes one of a few ways when you try to put together a concept album.
Let's hear
Very
it.
few can walk the path of Oh Sleeper and
Oh,
put together something vague enough that nobody could draw super clear lines. You can vaguely see what's going on here. You can't draw enough lines together for people to really argue about it. And the
right.
band doesn't ever really have to say anything.
Right.
They could just make vague hints at stuff. Another way you can go is you can go the way of Alisana, where you
Oh,
get
Lord.
far too deep
You're
into
too deep.
something.
We're too deep.
Yeah.
And it
So
like
deep
basically
in,
becomes your persona, right?
yeah, yeah. And also kind of in that vein would be like Coheed and Cambria. Like, it's too much. It's far too
Yeah.
much.
Didn't Alisana when they put out was it The Emptiness? It's like the next album, I guess because like that album did so good, it's like the next album was basically like along the same storylines. They were basically kind of forced to go with that same story because of how popular it was.
Yeah, what was the next one? Do you remember?
Was it a full album or was it an EP?
I
I
don't
mean, they may
remember.
have put out an
After the
EP too,
emptiness,
but
I kind
yeah,
of
I lost them. I was kind of
let
like,
them
yeah, I'm just gonna
slide.
let it go out on a high here.
Uh,
Uh,
so there's a place where the sun is silent after that.
okay,
I don't know if the two of those were supposed to be
like
connected.
connected. I felt like there was maybe I'm wrong, but I
I mean,
felt
it's a
like they
possibility. They named a lot of the tracks on the emptiness, like the artist, the murderer, the
right.
thespian, and it's the same on a place where the sun is silent. You've got the temptress, the fiend, the wanderer. So that's definitely a possibility. And then confessions, the occult, the goddess, the puppeteer, the martyr.
Yeah,
Oh
maybe
yeah,
it is
okay.
along the same lines.
So there's a like an anthology type, it's a collection, and it's called
Okay.
the Annabelle Trilogy, Part
Yeah, there
Three,
you go.
Confessions.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay. The occult, the goddess, the puppeteer. So I don't know, it looks like it has some of the stuff from Confessions with a couple other things. I don't know. We're getting way off here.
Yeah. Um, This album, Shipwreck in the Sand, actually sold 17,000 copies in its first week of sales. Oh my god. Fun fact for you, Josh. The band I Am Committing a Sin. Have you ever heard of them? I think
I
they're
don't
from
think
Canada
so.
also. Band called I Am Committing a Sin. They would contribute gang vocals on this album. Now, one of their members, his name is Paul Russo. He is actually going to be a future member of Silverstein coming up after this next album, or actually after the next two albums. So we'll talk about him again. So remember that name. Songs on Shipwreck in the Sand include Chapter 1, It Burns Within Us All, is A Great Fire, Vices featuring Liam Cormier of Cancer Bats, and Broken Stars. Chapter 2, Liars, Cheaters, and Thieves, as American Dream, Their Lips Sink Ships, I Knew I Couldn't Trust You, and Born Dead featuring Scott Wade of Comeback Kid. You also have Chapter 3, Fight Fire with Fire, which includes A Shipwreck in the Sand, I Am the Arsonist, and You're All I Have. And the final chapter, Death and Taxes, has We Are Not the World, A Hero Loses Every Day, The Tide Raises Every Ship, and the acoustic finale, The End, featuring Lights. So you like this album? I like this album. And you should too, people. You should too. No. I was gonna ask you, always felt like there was more guest vocals on this, but I guess there's only three. Um, what do you think about the guest vocals on this album, dude? Liam from Cancer Bats and Scott from Comeback Kid, and even Lights on the finale.
Um,
Because I know you like Scott Wade for sure. He's your favorite of the two Comeback Kid vocalists.
yeah, I thought that was him when I heard it, and
Mm,
especially like the victory bands pass around so many like
right.
vocalists, to do guests and
The tight
stuff.
knit group.
That's why like I feel a lot of Atreyu in this album. That's going to be weird, but musically and his unclean vocals on the Death Grip on Yesterday album, that's um
Mm,
but I don't know, I also feel elements of Bayside on, I want to say Rescue, or
what?
maybe it was the one
Oh,
at the
oh,
end,
I get what you're
Wind
saying.
Shifts.
I get
I
what
don't
you're saying. I
remember.
would say Rescue. If you had to ask me, I would say Rescue. I mean, he's on Rescue too, so he does a guest vocal on there too. But
Yeah. I think
yeah,
that was it because early in the album I was feeling like that, and by the time it got to the song that he does the guest vocals on, I was like,
yeah.
well, okay, here we yeah. Now
Well, all right.
yeah.
Now this makes sense. All right, let's move on. The band would contribute to the Punk Goes Pop Volume 2 album, uh, which always makes you think, now that's what I call music. Volume 2000.
Punk Goes Pop
Uh,
Volume 2.
they covered One Republic's song "Apologize." Actually, not a bad cover at all. In March 2010, the band announced a four-show set in Toronto, Ontario, where the band would play all of their discography each night. So all four full-length albums that they had released up to this point. So you had When Broken is Easily Fixed, Discovering the Waterfront, Arrivals and Departures, and A Shipwreck in the Sand. These four shows would be filmed and released as a CD/DVD combo entitled 2010 Decade Live Album CD/DVD. And it would be the final release through Victory Records, as the band would find a new partnership with this little logo right here, Hopeless Records. Yep, and that's going to take us to a brand new EP, 2010's Transitions EP. I don't think I told you about this one, but at the same time, yeah, I was about to say, at the same time, it doesn't matter
No.
because like three out of the five songs are on the next album, and one of the five songs that's not on the next album is just a cover. And then one of them is just kind of a throwaway anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Is
But
it
this
Is it Dancing on My Grave, Replace You, Burning Hearts, Texas Mickey, Intervention, and In Memory of?
No, that's like a deluxe version
Okay.
of Rescue because those are all like demos or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, that's like a deluxe part of Rescue
Okay.
package. This one has Sacrifice, Darling Harbor, Dancing on My Grave, an acoustic version of Replace You, and then the cover song is Wish from Nine Inch Nails. Um, and just real quick, this EP was produced by Jordan Valerio. I think that's how you say it, Valerio. He's done work with Counterparts, Neck Deep, and Emery. And like I said, three new songs: "Sacrifice," "Darling Harbor," and "Replace You." They're going to be put on the next album, "Rescue." And then, yeah. And then, when asked about the sound of the new music, Shane Toll described it as a quote cross between discovering the waterfront and a shipwreck in the sand. Do you think that's an accurate description of Rescue, Josh? Oh, can't hear you. You're on mute.
A cross between Discovering the Waterfront and Shipwreck in the
Shipwreck.
Sand?
Yeah.
Mm,
The weird baby.
yeah.
That's one ugly baby.
Mm,
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, I guess I could see. I could see it. I could see it. I I don't know. I started to when I was trying to figure out this whole like why we've got a different sound going forward, you know? I kept thinking like there was a turn at some point. I was like, okay, it was shipwreck. Like that was where it started to get heavier. Then I realized like going back, even in discovering the waterfront, like there's elements of that
There's
in
elements, yeah.
several places, you know? It was
Hmm.
just like at that album, they were like, nah, we're just gonna like fully lean into that, you know?
Yeah.
And I think they just continue to lean into it.
Yeah, but do you think like they had the elements on Discovery and then they went into Arrivals and like they said, it was just more of a just basic rock album. They didn't like it in the end, and they didn't like reaction to it by the fans. So it's like one of those where it's like, oh well, we got to go heavy there. We got to go heavier then, And then they came out with Shipwreck in the Sand, and it's heavier than what you had previously, or your sound's kind of changing. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
almost feel like sometimes too, it's like you come off a bad album like that, and it's almost like you freak out and you change your style a little bit.
Hmm.
Instead of just saying, okay, well, let's not overreact here. Let's just, try to pick up the pieces a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. It's hard to say. Who knows why a band like makes the
Well, and
choices they make like
yeah.
that.
Well, and sometimes I feel like sometimes I attribute it to the bands that those members in that band are listening to at that time too.
Yeah.
They have influence on them. I'd like to know what the heck the Alexis on Fire members were listening to when they put out their latest album, because that was, yeah, I don't know. That's just totally different, dude. But it's kind of like
Mm.
that's kind of like you don't know the band. Well, I mean, you probably heard me talk about them before, but like Balance and Composure. I mean, they used to
I
be,
know
you
balance and
know,
composure.
okay. Well, they used to just be like straightforward, post-hardcore,
Hmm.
kind of indie rock. And it's like their last album before they disbanded for a while. Now they're back, but their last album was like a lot of like electronic like drum beats and everything. It was weird. It was so different from what they had done previously. And I was like, this is terrible, man. What the heck is going on?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, what have you guys been listening to? They're like, that sounds awesome. We should do that in our band. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, that's the EP. But before the release of the EP, the band had commented that they had written 16 brand new songs for the next full length album. Like I said, some of those were included on the EP. This is well beyond what the band usually came into recording time with. Is there anything, in your opinion, Josh, is there anything to maybe having too many songs going into a recording session?
Yeah, why burn them all up here? Like if you've got too many and there's some you can kind of pluck out without, you know, making it sound weird or
Right.
like not flow right, then yeah, you're just like wasting songs on one album. Like
I just always,
I like a
what?
long album. It's a good value, but it's a bad business move. Like,
Yeah. I just like, I always feel like when these bands announce that they've got like, 15 to 20 or 25 songs, you know, written or in the writing process, and we're going into the studio right now. And yeah, obviously they're not going to have all, 15 to 25 songs or whatever. But I don't know. It just always feels like that album's not going to turn out too well because you just have too much. You're trying to go into it with too much material. And so then it's like you're fighting yourself on, okay, what do we put on this album and what do we not put on? I don't know. It's
yeah.
just a loose theory that I have, but I don't know.
No, I think
So
you're
yeah,
right.
let's okay. Well, let's talk about 2011's Rescue, their first full-length release from Hopeless Records. Same producer that did the EP. Stated by the band, this album has, quote, tons of screaming and breakdowns. But
Ah,
do you do you
you listen to
agree?
like the first track and turn it off?
That's yeah, I was like, I don't I don't know if you had like where? I mean, where? Because I mean there's points. There's a lot of screaming,
Yeah.
I guess, but that makes it sound like the whole album is just like full of screams and breakdowns. So no question mark? I don't
Yeah. I mean,
know.
it's probably not even as heavy as Shipwreck was.
That's what I was thinking. Come off of Shipwreck, it's like I feel like Shipwreck was heavier. Because I'm with you now that I think of it. It's like I feel this is kind of leaning towards more of a Bayside vibe, and I
Yeah.
think that's not. I mean, nothing against Bayside because I love Bayside. It's one of my favorite bands, but this one felt like it went kind of down the direction of Arrivals and Departures to me when it came out. I mean, I listened to it the first time when it got released, and I was just like, we're right back on that same track, I guess. And I like some of the songs on this album, don't get me wrong. And going back and listening to this album again after so many years, there was a few more that kind of popped up to me, like the opener and everything like that. But I don't know. It's still as an album overall, I'm not a huge fan of this one. I think it's better than Arrivals and Departures. Um, but yeah, the album was recorded over a longer period of time than any of their other albums, taking place over two separate sessions over a year apart, which the band has since said caused the album to have a more disjointed feeling. Yeah, I always go back to what Josh Coggins said when he was in the Chariot. You take 2 weeks, you get in there for 2 weeks, maybe just a week, depending on how long it takes you, and then you get out. Don't like overdo it and then make yourself overthink things. And then when it's like you're going in for like a whole year, or two separate sessions over a year apart, a whole year apart to do two separate recording sessions for one album. Yeah,
Yeah.
your album's gonna sound disjointed. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. No, I don't
That's
like
the
that at all.
worst idea.
Yeah.
Just weird, man.
Separating your
Weird.
recording like that, that's insane.
Yeah. So here are the songs on this album. You got Medication, Sacrifice, Forget Your Heart, Intervention, Good Luck with Your Lives, Texas Mickey featuring Anthony Ranieri of Bayside. There's The Artist featuring Brendan Murphy of Counterparts, Burning Hearts, Darling Harbor, Live to Kill, Replace You in Memory of, and a bonus track, Forget Your Heart. Yeah, twice. I don't know why it's on there twice. Maybe it's a different version. Not really sure. But that's kind of weird. Yeah. So what say you on Rescue, Josh?
I say that there's this guitar riff on Replace You
Okay.
that I cannot figure out where I know it from. And it's not Silverstein. It's the beginning of the first chorus. It's the F to G minor to E flat, and then back to F, G minor.
I was gonna try to listen to it real quick,
It's
if you wouldn't
the
mind
yeah,
sponsoring.
it's should be like 50 seconds.
50 seconds in.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
But I swear I know that riff from somewhere else, and I just cannot put the lyrics to it. I mean, it's got to be a common enough. It's only three chords. Did you hear it?
Yeah, it sounds like something. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I can't put my finger on it. We'll have to get back to that.
Don't you hate
Um,
that?
yes, that being
Yeah,
said, I do
it's
really
so
like
annoying.
Replace You. I don't know. There's still some good ones on here. I didn't, same as Wind Shifts. I didn't turn this one off, but my favorite in this block is going to be Shipwreck. I also like short songs, but that
It's just
doesn't,
different.
it's not a Silverstein album,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, it's kind of an interesting one. Um, I like the opener. I like Sacrifice. Good Luck with Your Lives is pretty good. Of course, I like Texas Mickey, and I remember when this album came out, I was really loving the artist. I thought that was pretty good. Um,
okay.
yeah, Replace You's good. New Memory of is pretty good too. But yeah, it's just again, it's one of those where it's just like when it came out, I was just turned off by it. I mean, I liked very few songs, but overall, I was just kind of like, all right, I feel like we're back to arrivals and departures time, in my opinion back then. And then going back and listening this time through, yeah, it's still not great, but it has its points, and I feel a little better about um some of these songs that I didn't like previously. And that's over 10 years ago. Woo! I've grown. I'm a man. I have facial hair. Oh man. Dude, I graduated high school the year this came out. That's insane. That puts some perspective. I'm so old. Oh God, what is life? It's meaningless. Yeah.
Is is there a duet in memory of?
That's a good question because I feel like I don't remember off the top of my head, but now you say that I feel like there may have been, but I don't remember ever seeing like it sounded like a girl's voice there, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, but I don't really ever remember seeing like a girl get credited for that. Are you looking it up?
No, I mean I was trying to see if I could hear her in there, but I don't think that's the track.
Ah, let's see.
But I do like in memory
Doo-ba-doo-doo.
of.
This song is about my cousin who passed away. Mm, on a snowmobile accident. Oof. Wow.
What song am I thinking of, man?
The one that has the duet?
Yeah,
Are you sure it's on this album? Because on Shipwreck, the final song had him and Lights singing together.
that's it. That's it.
Okay. What about that song?
Yeah, what else? We've talked about her before. Who else did she?
I mean, she's a pretty big artist in Canada by herself. I
Yeah,
think she's married to the lead vocalist of Bless the Fall, I think.
okay. We talked about her before though. Who was she on somebody else's album? I mean, I'm sure
Uh,
she's done a lot of stuff, but I remember us looking her up and
no, I think we're talking about somebody else because I've looked up her. discography, and I don't see any like guest spots that are familiar.
All I saw was Bless the Fall, Anthony Green, Silverstein.
What'd she do with Anthony Green?
It was just
Some
I
random
think like
song,
a
probably his
single.
solo stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, back on track here. Anything else about Rescue, Josh?
No, I mean, I don't know. For me, it just kind of feels leveled out right there.
Hmm.
From Shipwreck, we're not continuing that upward trend. This is just kind of like on there on the level for me, maybe just a little bit under because I prefer Shipwreck over this album.
Hmm.
But it's got a few really good tracks on it that I like. Just as a whole, it just doesn't hit for me exactly the same.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
yeah, I don't know. For me, it's one that I would probably like. I don't know if I would throw on the whole album. There's like, some songs I'd put on a playlist or something maybe. But
Okay, cool, man. Well, once again, the band would contribute to the Punk Goes Pop Volume 4 by covering the song Runaway from everyone's favorite rapper right now, Kanye West. Yeezy! Yeah. Get better, Kanye. Get better. Half a year after the release of Rescue, the band would tease a new album that would be way different, way different than anything they've ever released prior. I think we can agree with that. It is different from anything that they've previously released. That's 2012's Short Songs from Hopeless Records, an ode to daughters. I thought you'd like that one. That was my own title. Produced
okay.
by
I
the
was like, did
same.
they say that?
No, that was me. Uh, all I could think of was daughters the whole time. Just because you talked about them a lot, but
I enjoyed the fuck out of this album because it was so like,
it's
it's
quick.
so quick. It gets to the point and then gets the hell out.
Right. This album is produced by the same producer as the last two, Jordan Valoratio, whatever how you say his name. And this is the final album for guitarist Neil Boshart, considered
Which
by the
one's
band.
Neil?
He is the lead guitarist.
So is he Colonel Mustard in the Smiling Asleep video?
Colonel Must.
Is
We're
he
gonna
wearing the
find
yellow
out right
shirt?
now. I can't remember. It's been forever since I've seen that music video. Um, let's see. Come on with it.
Man, short
Um,
songs makes me want to do some two-stepping right here
do it. Do your thing
in my chair.
in your chair. Come on, Dane,
It's
load up.
all arms.
I'm all arms here. No, he's in the blood red shirt. Josh, that's
Ah,
Josh Bradford in the mustard.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep. Considered by the band as a mini album, intended to be an album that showcased the band's love for punk rock growing up. Set number one includes all originals, with the longest song clocking in at 96 seconds, and their shortest song being the final on set one, See Ya Bill, which comes in at 6 seconds. Set number two includes all covers from punk bands that the members grew up listening to. And drummer Paul Kohler described the album saying, quote, most people might associate a short song with a fast punk rock vibe, but that's not always the case. There will still be a ballad, a breakdown, and some sing-alongs, all amidst these quick songs. The idea is to give the listeners a mini Silverstein album and take them through all the peaks and valleys that they could expect from any of our original albums. Yeah, so here is the song list. Set number one, which is the originals, has Sick as Your Secrets, Sin and Redemption, SOS, Brookfield. I'm not French, but let's see. How do you say that, Josh?
I think it's La Marseillaise.
That sounds good. We're gonna go with
Marseillaise.
that. You also have
Marseillaise.
you also have World Around, Sleep Around, My Miserable Life, Truth and Temptation, One Last Dance, and See You Bill. And set number 2, which is the covers, includes Short Songs, which is a Dead Kennedys cover, and it features, here we go, Chris Barker of Anti-Flag, Nick Diener of The Swellers, Chris Hanna of Propagandhi. That's a sick, I've never listened to Propagandhi, dude, but that's a sick
That's a good name.
band name. That's a sick one. Have you ever listened to them?
No.
Okay. Mike Haronica, sorry. Haronica? You say it Haronica or Haronica?
Veronica.
Haronica, okay. Of The Devil Wears Prada, Tim McElrath of I type Rise Against. You also have Paul Russo of Burst and Bloom, Jimmy Stat of Polar Bear Club, Daniel Tremblay of I Am Committing a Sin, and Scott Wade, formerly of Comeback Kid. That's just on that one song, people. Good Lord. And I'm sure it's only, I can't remember how long it is, but I'm sure it's only like 10 seconds long. You also have 20236 East Broadway, which is a Gob cover, Good Intentions, which is a Gorilla Biscuits cover, Destination Blood, which is an Orchid cover, Coffee Mug, which is a Descendants cover, On Our Knees, which is a Swarm cover featuring Liam Cormier of Cancer Bats, scenes from the Parisian Life, the Promise Ring cover. It's My Job to Keep Punk Rock Elite, a NoFX cover. Quit Your Job, Chicks Dig It cover. That's interesting way to spell it. The Ballad of Wilhelm Fink, which is a Green Day cover, and finally, You Gotta Stay Positive, which is a Good Clean Fun cover by a band called Good Clean Fun. Yeah. See what I did there?
Clever.
Yeah, let's hear it, Josh. Short songs.
I like short
You
songs.
got me two-stepping.
Yeah,
it's a good one.
This is a great album.
See, again, it's like, to me, this, I mean, I listened to all 3 of these full lengths when they came out. I remember when they were released, and Shipwreck brought me up from the low of Arrivals and Departures, and then Rescue kind of brought me down again, and then Short Songs came out. And I was like, all right, okay, I like this. It's different, but I like this. And then this is where I just kind of fell off from listening to Silverstein in general. But anyway, go ahead, because I interrupted you.
I don't know. My thought was, oh yeah, I mean they're
so sorry.
they're right. Like they're all of these songs are short, so you assume that after listening to a couple of them that they're all punk songs. But yeah, I mean there's some that feel more like pop punky. So yeah, I don't know. It's pretty diverse, and I enjoy it. I like most of the covers too. Some of them are kind of a little annoying, but
Yeah,
for the most part, like it's there.
yeah. This is one of those albums I put on. I just listened to all the way through. Of course, it's easy to do when it's like, what, 10 minutes long in total, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right, that's short songs. Let's move on, shall we? From
We
the
shall.
well-received reception from the fan base on Short Songs came a 10-show tour called Short Tour. Who would have thought? This is where the band
This
would
is the
play
short tour of the short songs.
This is where the band would play the album Short Songs in its entirety on the short tour, as well as a greatest hits set as well, because there's only 10 minutes worth of short songs basically, so we got to fill some time here, and we can't just banter for the next 30 to 40 minutes. While on said tour, the band announced that their brand new album was in the works and would be out the following year. But before that could happen, guitarist Neil Boshart and the band would part ways. Shane Toll would reveal later on that the departure of Boshart was due to many years of growing apart, which honestly when I read that, my first thought went right back to our Every Time I Die episode, where their drummer, their original drummer, Mike Ratboy Novak, basically just kind of disassociated himself with the band. What was his final album? New Junk? Yeah, New Junk Aesthetic. It's like I remember them saying something about they felt like he was just going through the motions on that album, and it's like we didn't really need him. We could have just used like a drum machine. But yeah, it's immediately
That
what I thought
will
of
that will always be one of my favorite episodes of Metalocalypse is where they replace Pickles with the drum machine.
with a drum machine.
And then he has to like kill the drum machine because it takes them all hostage.
Right. Shane also stated that on their latest album there was very little contribution from Beauchart, which was short songs. And I think actually he was talking a little bit about Rescue as well too. Beauchart would be replaced by a close friend of the band, Paul Russo, on guitar from the band I Am Committing a Sin. We talked about him just a little bit ago. And here we go. Get ready for these. Where did Josh go? What in the world? He disappeared. Oh,
Cat
that
things.
was weird. Got things? What?
I said cat things.
Oh, cat things. Okay. Yeah, no. I kind of assumed that. But anyway, are you ready, sad boy? Are you ready? You
Yeah.
ready? You ready? Are
Play
you
that
super ready?
sad boy.
Are you ready? Are you sad? Are you ready?
I'm not crying. You're crying.
No, I'm not crying. You're crying.
No, you're crying.
No, you're crying. Oh God. Oh God. Yeah. 2013's This Is How the Wind Shifts. Or no, I'm not gonna say it. From Hopeless Records. And by the way, I meant to do that on purpose when I sent you the list the other day. And then I thought to myself later on, I was like, I should have just done that for like all the albums. A shipwreck in a beach, uh, rescue me from this terrible album, the shortest songs alive. Yeah, whatever. That's what I should have just done to you.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So produced once again by Jordan Valoret, whatever his name. I don't know what his name is. People, give me some easy names, people. What is wrong with these people in the music industry? These fancy artist names. Just give me Bob, Joe, Seriously, make it easy on me, please. Yeah, anyway, rant over. This is the first album with new guitarist Paul Russo. Russo would actually be able to really show his guitar work through this album, writing a majority of the music. Much like the album A Shipwreck in the Sand, This Is How the Wind Shifts is a concept album. The album consists of 6 different stories alongside parallel tracks. One of the songs, he's already
6
disagreeing.
different stories.
Oh,
Go
man.
fuck yourself. 6
Oh,
different stories. This
man.
is a concept album.
Man, alongside
It's
parallel
6
tracks.
different concepts.
One of the songs begin the story and another ends the story. Shane felt this approach would be, quote, interesting. In talking about the stories on this album, Toll stated, quote, the idea of this album is how a person's life can change forever with just one event. It is the what if that everyone thinks about from time to time. This album is different from a typical start to finish story concept album or an album where all the songs have a common theme. Each track is a parallel track that tells a story in a different light. What would have happened if things were different due to a single event? The song titles of each parallel track go together, forming a sentence or in some cases 2 words that relate to each other and to the story. Overall, the point of this album is not to prove the existence of fate or to disprove it. It's a discussion of life, of loss, of where to go, of success within failure, of failure within success, of the struggle between your actions and your feelings, and how those don't always go together. This is how the wind shifts is a journey that jumps around but stays cohesive, with underlying meanings and stories that have a real human meaning and cater to the soul. So here's kind of what he was talking about with the parallel tracks. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I'm
One,
like, you
two,
tell
three,
me what
four,
this
five,
album is
six,
about,
seven,
Curtis,
eight,
because I
nine,
have
10,
no
11, 12.
idea.
I have no clue. Don't ask me. Um, yeah, don't ask me what the concept is because I don't
He
know.
said it's cohesive.
Yeah, well, not to me. Of course, I'm somebody you have to like explain it like I'm a 5-year-old sometimes. So, so anyway, so take like the first track, Stand Amid the Roar, and then you take the song In a Place of Solace. So Stand Amid the Roar, In a Place of Solace, you got On Brave Mountains We Conquer, tied to In Silent Seas We Drown. You have Massachusetts tied to California. This Is How, tied to The Wind Shifts. A Better Place, tied to Live and to Lose. Hide Your Secrets with Second Chances, and Arrivals with Departures. So you kind of get what he's going with there with the parallel.
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is how many bands have done this, but Green Day's American Idiot album, how they each song is like it's two songs together on each track. And just like at one point it just like stops and changes.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I kind of think of is a little bit different, but I think of One Wing from the Chariot, where it's like each song spells out like it has just one word, but it all spells out like one phrase in the end. But in this situation, it's you take two songs out of the 14 and you place them together and they
Yeah.
make one sentence. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Um, I at least like that part of it. Again, I don't know I have no clue what the concept is. I mean, I understand he explained it here about the idea of what if in life, but I don't know.
It's so
I
fucking
don't hear that
vague.
though.
That is
I don't hear
so
that.
vague.
Um, I will say
Yeah, I
too,
don't know. I'll listen to this album again before we do the next episode and like kind of in pairings, like think
okay.
about the songs like
Think
together.
about the songs. Feel the songs, Josh. Let them surround you.
That was
Swirl
the
around your
problem,
head.
I just didn't ask myself what if this time.
Exactly.
That was the
Every time
problem.
a new song starts, you got to ask yourself, what if? What if? What if? Paul Russo actually contributes vocals on the song Arrivals. So he does some vocals, but he also does some guitar work too. What do you think about the guitar work, Josh, in this album?
It's good. I can tell it's
It's
someone
different.
else.
Yeah.
Somebody else's style.
I like
It's
it.
it's good though. Like
I like the main riff on yeah. The very first song, Stand Amid the Roar, is like I can't mess it up there, but it kind of goes along the lines of that.
yeah.
But yeah. Oh, the other thing I was gonna say too, is it just me? And I know like this, you're not a huge fan of this album, but besides this album, just in general, is a good okay, now let me back up. Stand Amid the Roar, towards like the end of that song, they go into like a gang vocal sing along. You know what
Which
I'm talking
track?
about? Stand Amid the Roar, the opener.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Is it just me, or does a first song that has like gang vocal sing along like that, does that get you hyped for the album?
Yes.
I don't know what it is about doing gang vocals like that on the very first song, but it kicks it up a notch. You're like, okay, I'm interested. I'm very interested in this song or this album.
Yeah. No, gang vocals are always a turn on for me. I like them on the first track and I like them on the last
Or the
track.
last track, yeah.
Not necessarily together on the same album. Um I don't know how I didn't catch this the first time, but on this album
Mhm.
with the new lead guitarist, we are going in a different direction. We're now going instead of standard tuning, we're using drop C sharp.
Okay. I
So
mean, you're getting
that's
technical on this episode.
that's going to be kind of the difference in the guitar sound you're hearing. That's going to be one of the differences
Yeah. It's a
besides just
nice
his
sound. I like
style.
it.
But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it fits. It fits for what they're doing here.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
but do you have a favorite on this album?
Man, those first three songs really hit it for me.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, this is like I said earlier, after short songs, I think just in general, my likes just kind of like changed a little bit. And so I just really like give up on Silverstein. I just like put them to the side and didn't really like worry about them, I guess. So I missed this album when it came out. I've heard several songs on here before, just kind of picking, but going this is like the first time I've listened to it from front to back.
Okay.
Was in preparing for this episode, and I really liked it. Like I said, there's points on this album. It's like a roller coaster, and I love the first three songs. I think they just hit so hard. But like once you get to like This Is How through Hide Your Secrets, it takes a little bit of a dip. They're still good, but it takes a little bit of a dip. And then it starts to kind of pick it back up again around in Silence Seas We Drown, and then it dips a little bit again, not as much, but then I think they finished pretty good with Departures. But yeah, those first three songs I think really stand out the most to me. Out of those three songs, I'll probably say Stand Amid the Roar. Although Massachusetts is a good sing along. I don't know. That's tough. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
What about you? You got anything?
I mean, I'm kind of with you. I think the beginning of the album is the strongest. It
Mm.
doesn't just like crash for me, but
Yeah. It just like I said, it's a roller coaster ride.
yeah, and it's like Arrivals and Place of Solace like kind of drop it down for me a little bit.
Okay. I mean,
Even
I
though
actually
Place of
liked
Solace is like a
Arrivals.
heavier song,
Yeah,
but
I actually liked Arrivals. I thought it was kind of cool, little change up there. And then getting Paul Russo on the vocals there, it's kind of interesting. But
yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. It slows it down for me. This is like always the point in an album where I'm like, no, don't stall out. Like I need you
See,
to
that's
hit the
yeah,
gas. Like
yeah. I feel like that's what happened on once Massachusetts ends and they go into This Is How. It's like, what happened? We slammed on the brakes here. We were going so good, you
I would
know.
say that your track 6 or your track 7 are like really make or break for the album, you know?
I was gonna say 5 or 6.
5 or 6?
Yeah, I was gonna
Because
say around 5 or 6, maybe 7 too, maybe 5, 6, 7.
there's some great track 7s, my friend, and one of my favorite track 7s
Oh my
is
gosh.
To Flagship. So after the color theft,
Mm,
like where it's getting a little bit more like ethereal, like a little bit more melodic. And
mm.
then we come back hard with the Flagship and it drags you through the rest of the album.
You're coming with me.
I also wanted to check to see because I'm pretty sure this is a track 7.
This would be a really nice discussion for an episode, Josh.
Track 7s?
Yeah, like track 6 or 7. Dude, that'd be an actually
Can we
cool
talk
episode.
track 7s? I'm dying to talk
I'm
track
dying to talk
7s.
about. I've been dying to talk about it all day. But
Um
we might have to do that.
yeah, this is the last one I'll give, but need to double check. Okay. While more ethereal and a little bit more um can't think of a great word to really capture this, but I was gonna say casting such a thin shadow on um Under Oath to Find the Great Line. Or
I think I just
as
can't.
it's known to some. Oh my god. Oh my god. I was gonna say, or as it's known to some, define the Grand Line. But those are only for the real that one's
You know
only
who
for
you
the real
are.
ones. Yeah.
Dang.
Um
Oh, dude, that is
yeah.
such
That's a
such a
great
good
track
song.
7.
Holy cow. That may be the greatest track 7 out there, dude. We're gonna have to do an episode on this,
You
Josh.
think that's
This
the greatest track 7?
no, I'm just saying, like, I mean, ugh, I don't know. I think we need to dedicate a whole episode to this, dude, because I think we're gonna find some great ones out there.
Track 7 on Every Time I Die's New Junk Aesthetic, Turtles all the way down. Number 7
That's a good
on
one,
The
man.
Big Dirty, Rendezvous. Number 7 on Gutter Phenomenon, Chomping at the Bit.
Oh my gosh, man. Yeah, we've gone down a portal here. Uh oh, here you go. Great one for you, Josh. Track number 7 on Oh God, the Aftermath. Disconnecti.
Yep. Yeah, track sevens, like you're
Good
6, 7, and
Lord.
8. You've got anywhere in there to like get a hold of me and drag me to the end of this thing.
Like what in the world, man? Uh there was another one I thought. What was the other one I was gonna look at? Let's see. Then came to kill off of the fiance.
Yep.
Was abandon on wars. That's a good one.
Oh, yep.
Down, down, down. And then last one I was gonna look at David De La Hoy's.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna have to. We may have to do an episode on that, Josh. Yeah. Where are we at? I
Oh,
don't even remember
okay.
what we're talking about.
I
Oh, jeez.
I was just like, I wonder. I was listening to I also want to start doing a thing at the beginning of the episodes where we just briefly discuss what we've been listening to throughout the week,
Okay.
besides this. Just a real short discussion. But I was listening to Kids Like Us a couple days ago, and my favorite track on that album is probably Fuck the Art Bar. And I was like, I wonder if that's track 7. It's fucking track 7. Of course it's track 7. Of course it's track 7.
If you want to be a successful band, people, at least in our eyes, make sure you could have a crap album. Start to, crappy start, crappy finish, but as long as you hit the nail on the head on track number 7, apparently you're going to have our approval. So,
It's all about track 7. It's the
it's all
track
about
7
track 7,
rule.
people. The track 7 rule. That may be the episode title, the track 7 rule. There's an episode within an episode going on right now.
It's my new self-help book, The Track 7 Rule.
The track 7 rule. Josh, the track 7 whisperer. Call me. Yep, that is 2013's This Is How the Wind Shifts. We're going in a little bit of a new sound direction thanks to Paul Russo's guitar work. Interested to see. I've listened to the next album that we're going to talk about. I've listened to it.
I was gonna ask if you
Um,
listened to anything beyond this.
after the next one we talk about, I've heard bits and pieces of different songs, but no full length albums. So it'll be interesting to
So
see what they go with.
in the next one, are we doing I Am Alive and Everything I Touch,
Mm-hmm.
Dead Reflection,
Yep. Is it a
um,
beautiful place to drown
yeah,
after
Beautiful
that?
Place to Drown, and then is Redo a
The redo albums is
okay,
where there's two of them where they just re-record a bunch of
yeah,
different songs through their discography,
okay.
which
And
we'll
then
probably talk about that a little bit because I'll be interested to hear what some of those songs sound like.
okay, and then Misery Made Me is the most
Yeah,
recent one,
that's the
and that was
newest one. Yeah.
last year.
Yep.
Oh God.
Oh God, how's track 7 sounding? Oh boy. All right. So
I love track 7. Oh, if you oh, I love track 8. Oh, if you love track 8, you're gonna love track 7.
track 7.
I've already heard it. Oh, you're gonna love it. That's a mixed CD joke.
Oh boy. Jeez. Back in the day, mixed CDs. Never know
I
what
don't
you're
know.
gonna get on those.
I hit play on the first song here, and I don't know if it sounds amazing, but it doesn't sound like the new Alexis on
On
Fire. So
I don't think anything sounds like the new Lexus on Fire. That was hot garbage.
awful, awful, guys, awful.
It's a terrible trash. It's terrible trash, man. I wouldn't even let the homeless burn that trash to keep warm.
I wouldn't let a homeless man listen to this.
Yeah. It is not
Um,
homeless man approval. Yeah?
okay,
Yeah? Oh, I thought you had something else to say. Okay.
no.
Okay. Speaking of OK, have you gone back and listened to OK from Fall of Troy? You
Mm,
said you were going to. You
for what
promised.
purpose was I
You
doing that?
promised. I don't know. I was listening to that episode the other day because I was working on one of our new episodes of the History of the Chorus After Hours podcast. Go check it out. And Fall of Troy was going to be one of them. And you said something about you didn't like it at first, but then when we got done talking about that album, you were like, "Hey, I'll probably go back and re-listen to it again, give it another shot." But
Mm,
and I think that's going to be something else we for future episodes. We'll probably do like some of these albums, especially like newer ones that we listen to. We'll go back and listen to them again, and then give like an updated opinion on it, maybe.
yeah.
But I don't know. It's
Yeah,
just a
I'll listen
side
to that one.
side deal.
I need to listen to that one, and I do think I don't know if I told you that, but I did listen to at least most of that Oh Sleeper album you wanted me to.
Yeah. What'd you think?
Which one was that?
Bloodied and Unbowed.
Yep, yep. Yeah, I've listened to at least up through two ships, I think.
Okay.
So I liked it.
It's a
I
little
can
different.
tell. Like I can
Yeah.
tell that there's
There's
only
only one
four.
guitarist.
I can always
Yeah.
tell.
Yeah.
There's like a
Yeah. It's
hollow
still,
sound, you know?
dude, they still go so hard. And
It
I
does.
was,
Like
I was
for a
gonna
four
say,
piece, it's
yeah,
good. But
I was,
by my God, man, how much better could it be if they just got one more guy in there? Like,
yeah, that's true. Or at least just record another guitar. I mean, he's such a good guitarist. You could have recorded both guitars, bro,
yeah,
and then just get a touring guy.
yeah,
But I mean, like I was going to say it earlier when you were talking about O Sleeper. My biggest thing with O Sleeper is the fact that their lyrics travel throughout their discography, and we've talked about that before. And I talked with Eric about that on our After Hours episode too. I just love how, especially on Bloody and Unbowed, you can hear lyrics that they've taken from albums such as the very first one. What's it called? Can't think of it all of a sudden. What's their very first album?
who?
Oh, Sleeper.
Oh, When I'm God.
When I'm God, yeah. They take lyrics from that album and put it back into this was like it's all connected, man. It's all connected. Anyway, back to Silverstein. 2 months after their newest release, the band will release a split EP through Hopeless Records with August Burns Red in honor of Record Store Day entitled 4 Minutes Being Cool. Now, each band on this split performed one cover song each. Silverstein performed the Get Up Kids song Coming Clean, while August Burns Red
The Get
performed
Up Kids.
Save the Day song You Vandal. A month after the split release, the band would release a re-recorded version of Smashed into Pieces in honor of the 10-year anniversary of the album When Broken Is Easily Fixed. Nearly half a year after the release of This Is How the Wind Shifts, the band would release This Is How the Wind Shifts Addendum, which included two new songs entitled I Will Illuminate and Kill the Lights, several acoustic versions from the album, and a mix of both songs, This Is How and the Wind Shifts. Now, talking about the re-recorded version of Smash into Pieces, we'll come back to that when in the next episode when we talk about the Redo albums, where they re-record a bunch of different songs throughout their discography, and we'll talk about it then. But yeah, that's going to do it for this set of albums. So, Shipwreck and Sand, your favorite,
Yeah, out of this
and
block for sure.
least favorite, Wind Shifts or
Yes.
Rescue. Okay, Wind Shifts.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least for now.
Okay, and you already did. Yeah, you already answered the question about the arrivals and departures quote, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't remember if we did that or not. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like this is how the wind shifts, at least at this point. Like, I like Arrivals and Departures more than that album at this point. But I don't know. We'll see how I feel. I'll listen to those two back to back instead of in like separate, like weeks apart. But
Yeah,
I'll listen to those two back to back and we'll see.
get back to us,
Yeah.
and then we'll
We'll talk
we'll
about
get
it next
his
week for sure.
and then we'll get his final word in this next episode after we get through the rest of the discography as well, because this is uncharted waters. Besides, I mean, you haven't heard anything after this, obviously now, right?
No.
And I've heard the next album, and that's it. So
I mean, other than
we're
like the
get
5 seconds I listened to
well,
of the
yeah,
opening track. Yeah.
right. But I'm talking about all the way through full albums, yada yada yada.
No,
So
no.
yeah, this is uncharted waters for us people. So come join
I
us
have not
on
seen
our
this.
yeah. This is my first reaction, my genuine reaction. Yep. So the lineup up to this point is Shane Toll on vocals, Paul Russo on guitar, Josh Bradford on guitar, Billy Hamilton on bass, and Paul Kohler on drums. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it now because I'm not going to say this lineup again unless something happens within the next week before we record this. This is your lineup that is uh, up to date here in 2023. So that's it. I'm not saying this lineup anymore. I'm sick and tired of saying the lineup. So yeah, here we go. Speed run on the outro. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. Wait a minute. Who's that? Say something, Sassy. Say something. Don't look at us disappointed. Look at me. It's kind of weird the way she was looking. Ugh. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Is Survived by Pro for news and the latest episode postings, not just on this show, but our other shows as well. We have the History of the Course After Hours podcast with my good friend and avid listener, Eric. We also have the Red Right Hand podcast, which has covered all 6 seasons of the Peaky Blinders. And look out, because there's a brand new episode of the Red Right Hand podcast coming your way. What? What did you say? Let me say it again. A brand new episode of the Red Right Hand podcast is coming your way within the next week. So be on the lookout for that. We also have the Throne of the Dragon podcast, which so far has covered season 1 of House of the Dragon, soon to be season 2. And currently we are in the middle of our Aegon the Conqueror series, which, hey, look out. Brand new episode alert coming your way. What's that?
Another one?
Are
We're
you
out of
telling
control.
me, Josh?
We're out of
Josh,
control.
are you telling me we're about to have 3 brand new episodes this next week? The History of the Course, the Red Right Hand podcast, and the Throne of the Dragon? Are we even going to be able to handle that, dude? I don't even know.
When will we sleep?
Oh God, we're doing it for your entertainment. Yep. So be on the lookout for all 3 of those episodes this next week. And while you're on Twitter, make sure to follow my co-host at Joshua Lynn Gary. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review and write us a comment on whatever podcast service you're using. You ready, Josh? You ready? If you want to listen to us and see our smiling faces. Oh God. Slam the microphone out of the way. Jeez. Just head on over to our YouTube page. Just search Is Survived by Productions. And that'll have every episode. Good God. You got something on your nose there. Every episode from all of our shows. Subscribe to the channel and thumbs up the video. Please, people, do it. Or he won't stop staring at you. Dear God, make it stop. Yep. That's going to do it on this episode. We will see you in the next episode for the finisher, part 3 of Silverstein. Not sure yet, but I'm wondering, is this going to be the final Canadian invasion episode? Stay tuned and find out. We'll see you then.